first 4 phases of cellular respiration are an iron-dependent pathway, right? So you have to have iron. So you're not going to fix them if they don't have iron. And you don't want too much iron. It's oxidative stress, right? It's heavy metal. So you have metal toxicity. That's going to create neuropathy as well. So check the iron, check the red blood cells. Make sure you know what their glucose is doing. You want glucose, A1C. You want LDH. Is the glucose getting in the cells? If the glucose is not getting in the cells, your LDH will go low. If there's cellular disruption, if it's breaking down, you get lysing of these cells, you're going to get too much LDH. You want to know the lipids, right? If total cholesterol is high or LDL is high and HDL is low, it means that the thyroid's not activating your LDL receptors on your cells, so that's a thyroid problem. If your triglyceride HDL ratio is off, that's a blood sugar problem. If LDH is off, you can see that too. So you want to know those pathways. You can always look at insulin. You can always look at C-peptide. But you're going to get your answers off of that. So you want to look at those numbers. Oh, thanks for pulling that up. I'm just trying to go off of my memory here.
Yeah.
So that's LDH. You want to look at your electrolytes. Electrolytes are how shit moves in and out, right? Those are all your pumping and pushing, right? Everything's like osmosis here. So you know how things move into cells and out. You got to have those electrolytes. Look at that anion gap. Look at that CO2. You want to know, is it bicarbonate? Is there a buffer? Things moving in and out. You got to have those electrolytes. Also, the kidney function. So, and that's going to give you an idea of the adrenals. This could be an adrenal stress problem. The next thing you can do is you're going to look at that thyroid. You need the whole pathway. You at least need 6 of the markers, but none of the markers are better. If they already have Hashimoto's, you don't have to look at the antibodies. But, you want to know, is the brain telling the thyroid to do its job? Is the thyroid making T4? Is that T4 being converted to T3? Is there enough stuff carrying that T3? So you need free T3 in your T3 uptake. And what's the reverse T3 looking at? You want to know those things, right? Because what your cells are going to use is free T3, but it's got to get there. So you need those thyroglobulins. You need to look at your protein. You need to look at your albumin. We talked about that a few weeks ago. Reagan and I did about the albumin and the globulin. Globulin carries your hormones and is your immune cells, right? You need that. You need your immune system working for this stuff. Let's see. So we go through thyroid. We look at our proteins. We want to look at our liver function, our AST, ALT. Are we getting toxicity? We have low, if you see like low liver numbers, and maybe your LDH is low or some of your anion gaps off, you might have a gallbladder problem. You have bile issues, but you need to be able to detoxify it. You need to be able to look at these lipids. This is also low cholesterol is a problem. Gallbladder dysfunction is a problem. Somebody has a gallbladder, make sure you have them on like ox bile to be able to break down their fats. All cells are made out of a phospholipid membrane. Phospholipids, right? That's what LDL is. You're looking at phospholipids, right? You need those to make membranes. That's everything. Everything's a membrane. Insane in the membrane. I'm just going to throw that out there. So you need those membranes, right? Those phospholipids are crazy important here, right? You really have to become a biochemist to understand this. But if you just look at the labs that we tell you, you'll get an idea of where to look at. Just go where it's not right. That's all you got to do is just kind of like, this is off. This is what we're going to focus on. So you're looking there. Then we talked about, of course, your B12, your D3. Vitamin D regulates like 39 tissues in the body and acts like a hormone. You just need to make sure they have good vitamin D. Homocysteine. Homocysteine is an inflammatory marker, and it typically goes up because the person has a B12 or a folate deficiency. However, they can have MTHFR mutations, MTR, MTRR, COMT. Here's the thing. Your body's supposed to recycle homocysteine, and you need B12 and folate to do that. Now, here's what's crazy. If that process is not working, and homocysteine, this is all you ever need to know about homocysteine. If that process is not working, the body has a backup system. It's supposed to use B6 to convert it to glutathione. So if you see high homocysteine, you have a B12 folate B6 problem, and you probably have a glutathione issue. So a B complex with your glutathiones are important, especially when it comes to these nerve pathways. If homocysteine is above 10.3 to 10.4, it usually starts causing cardiovascular damage. Research for about 5 years ago shows if it's above 7, causes neurological inflammation. This will destroy the nerves. So you got to get that homocysteine taken care of. CRP, more of a generic inflammatory marker. You need to see where the inflammations come from. A lot of times it's the gut, honestly, with CRP. We talked about iron, total iron binding capacity. You don't want the capacity to be high. That's empty space, right? That means the body's not using the iron. We looked at the lipids. We talked about the complete thyroid. You can look at SAMe. The sex hormones. I got asked about this. This is my actual response. I wasn't even looking at this. I'm just talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the email that that Ken sent to you, and then all your responses I thought were beautiful.
Yeah. So he asked about the sex hormones. Testosterone regulates your Tregs, which improves healing and also offsets autoimmune. So if you have an autoimmune process, you want testosterone to be optimized. For women, we like it 75. I know it seems a little high. I'd be curious what Paula thinks, but we've had a lot of women, as long as everything else is okay, 75, they feel amazing. It's like they glow and their husbands are happy, but men, we like it 1100 to 1300. As long as their other pathways are healthy. So, but it improves autoimmune regulation and neuroplasticity. We're talking about building new bridges around damaged neurons. Progesterone promotes the myelin sheath, right? So it's good for the brain. It's good for all the nerve pathways. So you want to make sure progesterone is good. Estrogen is neuroprotective, and it actually helps the gap, the synapse, the function of how those nerves communicate with each other. So those sex hormones are important. Antibodies, HLA B27.
On the testosterone, on the sex hormones, are you doing like free T or
It's always good to either know what your free hormone is, or at least know what your sex hormone binding globulin levels are. Because if the binding globulins are high, you're not going to have a lot of free, right? So you can calculate free based on sex hormone binding globulin. I think it's actually cheaper than running your frees, but that's a good way to go.
okay?
Those are super important pathways to understand. But just remember, progesterone is good for the brain. It helps that myelin sheath, and then estrogen helps the synapse activity. It's neuroprotective, and then the testosterone improves neuroplasticity. Right. So, on the advanced inflammatory panel, to kind of pop back up there, ANA antibodies, HLA, human leukocyte antigen. You want to know these things because sometimes we forget what that means. If you have ANA antibodies, that's anti-nuclear. That's antibodies against your own DNA. It's like one of the hardest ones. These people need all your attention. They need a big plan. Someone has ANA antibodies and they're having health issues. You don't give them a 4-month plan, 3-month plan. Don't just give them a detox. Don't assume you're not going to fix their problem by taking care of like a leaky gut, right? I mean, something has made their body attack their DNA. And there's a lot of stuff that can do that. A chemical can bind to their DNA, or a virus or some type of free-floating particle can bind to their DNA. All of a sudden, it looks like a foreign antigen. Now you got antibodies against your DNA. It's going to be your hardest cases. Don't give them a small plan because you're selling them short, and you're not going to have enough time to get them turned around. But I will tell you, using peptides is amazing to help get these people under control. It's one of the few things that's you almost need it because lifestyle changes are almost not enough with ANA and HLA. So, but anytime they have these ANA antibodies, or if they have like Sjogren's, something that's systemic against all of their connective tissue, that's going to be tough. Epstein-Barr, the research is Epstein-Barr depletes serotonin and dopamine. That's going to affect every nerve. If you're looking at the Epstein-Barr viral capsid IgG antibodies, those are the ones that are very specific that the research has really shown time and time again. It isn't just there after someone's had Epstein-Barr. It's not like your regular IgGs. The higher these things are, the higher associations with autoimmune processes, neurodegenerative processes, but it fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. And the one really clear connection the research has shown is it depletes their neurotransmitters. It actually depletes neurotransmitters. So it's like, there's your nerve communication. You got to make sure you're looking at it. The chances are you're going to get rid of it, low. Probably impossible, but improve the gut, improve the immune regulation. Leaky gut or not, you want the communication coming from that butyrate regulating your T regulatory cells. You got to have the immune system on your favor here. But that's why the peptides are so important. The Super B injections we're doing, instead of 1 ml, we're doing 2 mLs of methylcobalamin. If they overmethylation is going to be anxiety, headaches type things. Do hydroxycobalamin.
Are you injecting those just intramuscular, or are you injecting them around the nerves?
No, just intramuscular.
Have you ever done the vitamin injections around the peripheral nerves?
Yeah, the Prolo, or the perineural solution, which is a B12 and a D5W, which is type of saline. And that, because the D5W, the glucose, and you just got to watch this with your diabetics, it actually calms the TRPV1 fibers, or their C fibers, calms down the inflammation, the small nerve fibers. That helps. D5W is dextrose water. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it, blending it on your own unless you're Paula. But yeah. Ray said, without thymosin 1, which peptide you're using for Epstein-Barr and autoimmune diseases? Thymosin beta 4 on integrative peptides, you can use their KPV. It's immune modulatory from the gut. You can use BPC, which is really weird that we've been finding with our patients with Crohn's, just because it's the gut, probably more than anything. The BPC actually modulates their other autoimmune processes better than thymosin alpha 1, probably because you're getting the immune regulation coming from the gut and you're calming the fire in the gut, which is crazy. So BPC, thymosin alpha 1, thymosin beta 4, if it's a full-on inflammatory process, too much inflammation. KPV, if you want to do an oral peptide. For autoimmune, those are the main ones. Because the autoimmune has like 12 pathways it could be, and that gets kind of hairy. So the big thing that you're going to see, the biggest thing with autoimmunity, is high Th17, which is the inflammatory destructive pathway, and low Treg function. So it boosts the Tregs. B vitamins, testosterone, butyrate, healthy gut. And I think I talked about testosterone. So those are key. And vitamin D, right? High dose vitamin D. So those are going to be all your good pathways there. Mitogenesis, Orthomega. These are the ones from Orthomolecular. Really good results with these products. I really like them. They're very high quality. The Mitocore is actually the product that helps with mitogenesis. It's a multivitamin. It's a high potency multivitamin that has stuff that has the ALA in it. Has some really good, it's a really good line. I like it. Orthomega is a really, really high dose quality omega fatty acid, essential fatty acid product. And then CoQ10.
So is Mitocore, they have, is it like a proprietary formula? Because I've never used that.
It is. Let me grab a bottle.
You guys are getting like the inside scoop today. This is like behind the scenes amazing stuff. Dan's shown it all. He just opened up the kimono and was like, "Hey, ladies, look what I got." So
What are we talking about?
I'm just saying everybody should be really really stoked at all this stuff you're sharing with us today. You just like, opened the kimono for everyone.
So it has AACD, thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, B6. It has the methylfolate, methylcobalamin, pantothenic acid, biotin, choline, which gives
Nice.
it gives energy, iodine, calcium, zinc, selenium, magnesium, chromium, potassium, and acetylcysteine. Acetyl L-carnitine, there's your acetyl group. Malic acid, alpha-lipoic acid, green tea leaf extract, broccoli seed. So it's gonna have the sulforaphane pathway. Inositol, which is awesome for sugar regulation, and it has resveratrol.
Nice.
Good product.
It's all just simple capsules.
Yep. If you do IV therapy in your absence, there are fabulous IV adjuncts you can do. Yeah, absolutely. IV would be really good. I wouldn't do them the same day you did the Procaine, but yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge fan of the IVs. Great point, Dr. Paula. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was amazing. Thank you so much, Dan.
Hey everybody, Reagan Archibald here with Go Wellness. And if you liked this episode, if it actually helped inspire you to be a better practitioner, help more people, establish a much better foundation for your business, then I'm going to ask a favor of you. And that favor is for you to share this with somebody you care about and love in the healthcare field. I don't mind if it's an acupuncturist, a functional medicine practitioner of any sorts, a naturopathic doctor, a medical doctor, any type of endocrinologist or specialist. We need to get this community strong, and we can't do it without your help. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the hard work you're putting in and day out. I know it can be a grind, especially with some of the chronic cases that you're treating, but this show will help transform the way that you think, help transform the way you practice, and change the lives of thousands. Thank you for being part of our community.